Last week, in an email first obtained by Electric and also reported by CNBC, Elon Musk told his Tesla staff that they must return to the office full-time or leave the company, saying, quote, "If you don't show up, we will assume you have resigned." In a second email dated 2 days later, Musk reportedly tells Tesla employees that he plans to cut 10% of Tesla's salaried workforce, citing a super bad feeling he has about the economy. On Friday, President Biden fact-checked Elon Musk.
Well, let me tell you, while Elon Musk is talking about that, Ford is increasing their investment overwhelmingly. I think Ford is increasing the investment in building new electric vehicles, 6,000 new employees, union employees, I might add, in the Midwest. The former Chrysler Corporation, Stellantis, they are also making similar investments in electric vehicles. Intel is adding 20,000 new jobs for making computer chips. You know, lots of luck on his trip to the moon.
Here to discuss, Dino Badala, MSNBC opinion columnist and host of the Dino Badala Show, and that appears on SiriusXM Progress, which I should add is the same channel that I am on in the mornings. Dean, I'm so happy to see you. In your latest piece, you write that it's not that a CEO can't require people to return to the office. No one would probably argue that. But the arrogant, king-lone tone of his email and defending himself on Twitter reminds us of how unbearable Musk has become. I mean, what makes Elon Musk's leadership in particular unbearable compared to, you know, some of the other CEOs out there?
Well, I will tell you, Elon Musk has achieved one thing. He's making Mark Zuckerberg seem likable, which is really remarkable. So besides doing that, look, this morning on Fox Business, they literally had a panel. Everyone, Stuart Varney and others going, what is Elon Musk doing to his company? This is not what leadership looks like. On one day, you tell people, you got to come back 40 hours a week. And someone asked him on Twitter, well, isn't that antiquated? He goes, you'll have to just pretend to work somewhere else then. So all the people working at home, he dismisses their contributions. Then he says a few days later, 10% of you are being fired. Then over the weekend, he clarifies it again, going, well, only salary employees, not hourly employees. And besides all of this, he's doing the whole thing from Twitter since April. I'm going to buy Twitter and slamming Democrats and trolling Democrats. Elon Musk should focus on his company and being an effective CEO. Instead, these are such mixed signals. It's a horrible place to work. It's got to be a tough place to work. I have to be honest with you, because there's other issues as well we can get into. Doesn't seem like a good place.
I mean, one of the things I think a lot about in this sort of COVID era, as you know, the movement towards the Great Resignation, that wasn't necessarily sort of like an inevitable outcome of COVID. It resulted because what was really clear was like, no one really cared about us dying. Like nobody really, the people in charge of companies that were like, go back to work under, you know, there's no circumstances under which you cannot not go back to work all the days. You know, they were obscuring that people were getting sick, people were dying, people were afraid of COVID. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the workers have sort of pushed back against this traditional model and leadership style like Elon Musk's of the world have, which is basically centered around power and control over their workers. Like, you have to be in the office so I can have my eyes on you.
I can't trust you. And speaking of COVID, Elon Musk slammed the closure requirements in California, calling it fascist, literally tweeted, liberate, which he got from his BFF, Donald Trump, liberate California. And they reopened in violation of COVID guidelines in California. We learned later over 400 Tesla employees tested positive for COVID. The reason we learned later is when Ford and other car manufacturers had outbreaks of COVID, they announced it, they shut down their factories, they disinfected, and they brought employees back when it was safe. With Tesla, he kept it secret. So people were getting sick. They weren't telling anybody. They weren't closing the factory. People were working through the sick time. So right there, he's not the most caring about his workers. I mean, I look at Elon Musk. He reminds me of all the James Bond villains rolled into one. You know, there's something, he's petting a white cat while talking about his evil plans to take over the world, while making the life of the everyday worker much more difficult there. So I expect to see workers leave. There are more jobs available right now than there are people looking for jobs. They're probably going to leave. There's other opportunities in California to work.
I mean, one of the things I think that's interesting to look at when we think about what's happened in this pandemic in terms of the power dynamic between the bosses and the workers, is that, polling shows that 60% of people, they like working remotely. They like working from home, and they want to continue to have the ability to do that. I mean, what does sort of what type of management style requires you to be in the office all the time? Aren't you a bad manager if you have to have all your employees like within your line of sight and you can't actually trust adult workers to get the job done? I mean, when that's what a majority of the workers want right now.
It does. And think about the work environment and the culture that Elon Musk is setting. The idea of you have to come in. If you don't, I'm going to assume you're gone, or I'm going to fire you, essentially. Meanwhile, Mark Zuckerberg at Facebook said in a statement last year, good work is done anywhere. So we're going to have more policies to allow people to work hybrid. And Twitter, which he's buying Elon Musk, the CEO now there, is now a forever work at home policy. It's your choice. He said, wherever you feel most productive. And that's the truth. Some people have the privilege to be able to work at home. If you work on the assembly line, no, you got to go in. We understand that. But if you work in an office setting or other jobs there, dude, employers should have some compassion and empathy for their workers, who a third of them can't afford childcare, which is what you see in that same Pew poll. So he doesn't care. He's arrogant, unbearable.
Well, it's such a good point about childcare there because, so many of the bosses are like, go back to work under, there's no circumstances under which you can stay home, but then they're not providing resources. I don't know. I would imagine if you provide some resources, then people will be more willing to come back. Dean Obeidallah, thank you so much for being here. We're going to have you all the time now that we're able schedule-wise. Get your daily dose of enlightening articles at MSNBC Daily, an exclusive feature on MSNBC.com. There you'll find written perspectives by people you know and trust, like Dean and me. Plus, get a fresh take every morning from our editor, Hayes Brown. Start your day with MSNBC Daily on MSNBC.com and scan the QR code on your screen right this second to subscribe to the newsletter for free. Hi, I'm Zerlina Maxwell. Thanks for checking out our channel on YouTube. You can see more from Zerlina by clicking any of the videos on this screen, and make sure you subscribe below to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. Thanks for watching.